Good afternoon, everyone. I am here to report on the ongoing projects for facilities maintenance and operations. Our first slide is our Achieve Early College High School roofing and HVAC upgrades project. We are currently at about 90% completed on this project, and work is ongoing. Today we had a full crew of roofers out there and HVAC technicians, and work is being completed. The next slide, please. Our next slide is the portable relocation and remodeling for our Achieve Early College Staff Development Center. We are currently finishing up the 2 current portables that are there. We received permits from City of McAllen as of last week for the 2 additional portables that are being moved, and we are currently waiting on our mover to give us the go on moving the portables in the next days to come. Next slide, please. Ongoing projects. This is the playground renovations that we currently have over at Wilson, McAuliffe, and Thigpen. These are the CDBG funded projects. The notice to proceed was issued last month. Equipment has already been ordered. Equipment should start arriving by the end of next week. Been in conversations with the contractor. We are hoping to start demolition, if not at the end of this week, next week as of today. Next slide, please. This next slide is the different elevations for our ag farm facility that is currently in the final stages of design. As you can see, the first part at the top is looking south at the front end of the building. And then you've got the different elevations from the east, west, and the south side. Next slide, please. This next slide is an overlay of the actual project, the barn. It consists of the different schematics for the pins that our ag instructors have recommended for numbers. This was the first sketch that was put together. We're now looking at a second one that has already been vetted by our ag teachers that details the pins in a different configuration and a different area to be able to allocate the sufficient animals that are currently in the projects. Next slide, please. This is a report regarding our all-inclusive playground project that we would like to continue working on. Currently, at this time, the entities will be in conversations with are the County of Hidalgo, City of McAllen, McAllen ISD, and of course, Capable Kids. Currently, there are no commitments. We're in conversations right now to see which entity, what is it that they're willing to come forth with, and then we'll be drawing up a memorandum of understanding based on their commitments so that we can move forward on this project. Next slide, please. The slide is the actual area of 300 by 130, which is at Sanchez Elementary on the south side of the campus, adjacent to the McAllen baseball park. The next couple of slides are samples of an all-inclusive playground set that has the different layouts and the different components. Next slide. And you can see some of the canopies that it comes with, the different themes. In this case, this one is that they're using is a baseball themed park. And then you can see some of the other components on the following slides. You can see on the last slide the different play structures that come with one of these all-inclusive sets, and with different areas. Of course, the area that we're looking at is at 300 by 130 approximately. On page 17, you can see an overlay of a proposed site plan that the city of McAllen sent in to be able to look at as different options. You can see slide 17 and slide 18 that have the different areas that are proposed for restroom facilities, added parking, and this is still yet to be discussed. This is just, it's all in the preliminary stages as we discussed last time. And my last slide is the submitted and completed work orders for the month of February. We had 996 submitted and 774 completed work orders. Are there any questions on any of the projects?
Ruben,
Yes.
Trustee Aliceta.
Go ahead.
Who's first?
Debbie.
Who's first, man?
Okay, this is Trustee Aliceta. I'll go first. My questions, or it's more of comments regarding the Sanchez Elementary Playground. I just think that when we're doing these PowerPoints, that it should say proposed. I think it's confusing for people because they think that it's something that's been funded, and it hasn't been funded. There's nothing in the budget for it. And so I just think that it's very important that we always say proposed, because I've had phone calls about this and people think that it's something that we're already doing, and we're not. This is just something that we're in discussions with the 4 entities, and something I imagine the timetable would be summer of 2021. Is that what we're looking at, Mr. Trevino?
That would be the goal on this. Once again, everything's going to depend. Our timeline is going to be driven by our memorandum of understanding and all the different components and the commitments from each entity. But we will address this as proposed.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Ruben, my question is in regards to the ag farm.
Go ahead.
I was told that we would not be able to add more parking because of the way that the land was granted to us. Have we had a chance to review that and check on the parking situation if we're able to add that north side parking as proposed?
Add to the existing layout that we currently have being proposed? Is that where we would like to add more parking, or add parking to the west side of the proposed parking area that we already have?
No, sir. I think that we have parking that is being designed along, I guess that's Auburn on the north side, right next to the baseball fields.
Correct.
I was approached by a member of an FFA that told me that they had reviewed the way the land was donated to the district, and it would prevent us from adding additional parking in that area. I don't know if you've reviewed it. I don't know if you're up to speed on that.
We will certainly take a look at that. There was a survey ordered for this particular project when we first started, and nothing like that has come out, but we will double check with our design professionals and have an answer for you.
Let's go back to the original deed of land that was done for the district and see if there are any specifications on in growing that area.
Will do.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Anyone else have a question for Mr. Trevino?
I guess I'll just jump in. I thought we were supposed to raise our hand, but I'm all right. On the Wilson Elementary, McAllen and Thick Pins of Allah. That looks like it's still a, well, let me refer to it what it is. It's not an inclusive playground that's being shown there.
No, those are not part of the
I was
all-inclusive.
left with the understanding we were going to look into this, and since I can tell you I'm very disappointed because I was led to believe that this district had committed that all its playgrounds were going to become inclusive as they were coming up for replacement. And while these had already been proposed, there was still time enough for us to relook at and possibly add either the surface area or the actual playground. And that's what the impression I was left with the previous conversation. So if we're not going to do that, that, then, you know, going forward doesn't mean a whole lot. If we're not even going to start with the first three here, even if we have to, you know, as I understood in the conversation, even if we had to allocate some funds, and maybe this is directed to the superintendent, I don't know.
The refurbishment of these current playgrounds, as the applications had been sent in for CDBG, were to refurbish some of the parts and components within the current play sets that we have. Based on the last conversation, we are looking right now at adding components to all of our parks and see what that pricing is gonna come in at. That would not make the full structure all inclusive, but add possibly some components around the existing structures that we have. And we are pending pricing for the different levels of pricing coming in for the different types of components that could be added with the surfacing adjacent to the current play sets that we have.
I don't know. You know, I think we can look at each playground going forward. Again, you may want to go back and listen into that. It was a very specific question about inclusion of our playgrounds and parks going forward. And that meant that our playgrounds were going to be inclusive. Now, I understood for these three, and CDBG funds, that we do what you just suggested, which is, you know, just the surfing area, a little bit more expensive. So children in wheelchairs, parents in wheelchairs, individuals have difficulty walking would still be able to get close to them, would be, or two would be an inclusive part where a wheelchair could be put on there, or a child has difficult maneuvering challenges to maneuver, we were going to include. So if that's what you're saying here, then I'm so good with. Otherwise, for these three, it's another 15 years or so before we refurbish or renovate these, because they're on a 10, 15. So again, I don't know if I'm talking, you know, but the super, all our playgrounds going forward, as they were being replaced, we're going to be inclusive.
We will
One
look
of
at.
the things,
Go ahead.
sorry, Ruben, just one point. In talking to the executive leadership team, we're doing just that. We're looking at funding mechanisms, but the last conversation we had as an ELT was as we're renovating these existing ones we're talking about now, it is to add certain apparatus that would allow kids to participate along with the surface areas and access points. Moving forward, we would have to invest the money in ensuring that all of them were accessible to all. We're still in the conversations right now. We're in the early stages of it, but it could potentially require us to go into fund balance somewhat, or scrub some money from other accounts. That's the conversations we've been having, and this is prior to situations we've been dealing with here for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I definitely would. In the previous meeting we had about this, I said it. I'm going to say, you know, these are three schools that we have an opportunity to start, and so I think we need, you know, we need to really start with the inclusion, or at the very least, ease of access for individuals with they're physically challenged. So, the next thing was on this. It was my understanding was that we were doing some renovation of facilities, parks for that, and that we then were looking, such as the county, the city, and ultimately we ended up with also capable kids, if not and that would be the part that would start it. So is this to understand that we are starting that by indicating that this land is going to be inclusive part, and then we're going to coordinate these other entities or any and all to that in.
Yes.
And
We
again, I
do
don't know
want
if
to
it's
get,
to director or the superintendent.
I did want to
Excuse me.
mention that we have been in communication with Capable Kids. We have talked to county officials, city officials, and everybody's interested in working as a team to get this done. But it's something that we're going to have to go back to the table and really have a deep conversation about as far as moving forward. The last conversation that we had with the city manager and his team, specifically at Sanchez, is that it would be an all-inclusive park, and we had the schematic on where it would be and access points and things of that sort. And it was positioned to where it wouldn't interfere with future baseball fields should they build in the future. So specifically at Sanchez, that was a conversation where there was already other entities that were involved that were supportive of the idea.
I'm just going to say I may mention something, and again, I think there's some folks that think this is already shown it, and it seems to be in somewhat it really, in my opinion, is a board decision and directive that this land is going to be used for that purpose, and that we're going to then give direction to the administration to proceed, come to the site, and come up with a projected budget, and then which entity is going to that. But I think the starting point has to be from the board. I know this is just a briefing. This is towards a deadline of summer of 2020. This is a direction we want to go in that direction. It's just my thought. There's just almost. Thank you.
I just have one quick question. Ruben, what's the timeline of the ag farm? Once the plans are approved, when can we actually start seeing some dirt being moved?
Currently, right now, we will be reviewing plans at the end of this week,
Okay.
and we should be nearing final set of plans to be able to put it out for bid.
Okay. So we're probably looking sometime this summer.
I am hoping that we can start construction hopefully by late April, beginning of May.
Okay. And how long? I remember we talked about it the first time. It's about 6 months, or no? It's longer than that. It's about a year, right?
It's less than a year.
Okay.
We're looking at the infrastructure for the parking lot and the pre-engineered metal building with the classroom.
Okay. Thank you.